Hi everyone, welcome back. Well, today we're back out at our beehives and it's time to open them up and see how they're going inside. I expect by now that they're pretty full. We still have a few flowers, a fair bit of clover with good flowers on just over here. We've got some acacias flowering over the other side there, and the York gums are just starting to come out. The Wando's got a little way to go still. You can see all the buds forming on here. So the bees have still got a bit of feed, but we're not going to take too much honey from them because it's definitely slowing down. So we'll have a look and see how they're going and what they look like inside the hives at the moment. So I'm going to put my suit on now and we'll open them up and see what's going on. Well, I should have done something before now. I thought this hive might be getting a bit full. And look at all of this honeycomb on the surface here. Beautiful, but gluing the lid on and not really in the right place. So we're going to get some frames out of here and we'll go and try and separate this honey out. Yep, so this frame is well full. Forgot my bee brush, unfortunately, to brush all the bees off. And another frame that's chock-a-block. So this really should have been emptied a couple of weeks ago. Okay, so to extract the honey out of these frames, the first thing we need to do is cut all the caps off. You can get a hot knife for that. We just use a sharp knife and there's a little tool that helps you do it. I'll show you that in a little while. Then we want to put the frames into a spinner and use centrifugal force to help the honey come out of the comb. It doesn't just run out by itself, unfortunately. So I'll show you the different spinner options that we have. Okay, so once we've got our frame and we've uncapped it, this is an old frame that hasn't been used for a while. We have several spinner options we can use. This is quite a small hand spinner. I haven't ever seen another one of these around. But the frame fits in here. We sit it on a block of wood and we just spin it round by hand. The centrifugal force that we're generating draws the honey out of the frame into here. Now Now there's a spout on the top here. So once we've got our honey in here, we can turn it upside down and pour the honey out here into a bucket or something like that. This would be for a pretty small enterprise who really doesn't have that many bees, and we're not going to use this one today. The next spinner, which is a little bit more advanced and would have been used for slightly bigger enterprises, is this old Pender Bros spinner made in New South Wales. Now this looks like a 12-gallon drum, but it's not quite that dimensions. This one belongs to my grandfather, I believe. So this one holds 2 frames, one in there and one in there. And then it's got a fairly high gear ratio on it, so once you start winding it up on the handle, you're spinning it quite fast in there. So you can do 2 frames at once with this one, and it gets the honey out much better than the other hand one because you can spin it so much faster, and you can do 2 frames at once. So a lot of advantages on this one over that first one we showed you. So we're very lucky today that the spinner we're actually going to be using is an electric spinner. This is all stainless steel. It has a honey tap in the bottom so that you can let your honey out at the end into a bucket without having to turn it upside down. The stainless steel makes it much easier to keep clean. It will hold 2 frames as well, one in either side here of the basket. It's got an electric motor on the top and a speed control over here. So we just need to put the frames in, whiz them up, and it's that simple. The honey comes out and is ready to come out the tap in the bottom into a bucket for us. So I'm going to set this up now, and we'll see if we can get some honey out. Okay, so to cut the caps off the wax frames before we put it in the spinner, we've got this rather handy tool here. It sits on the edge of the bucket like that, and then you can either use a hot knife or you can use just any old sharp knife will do, and we use this to trim the caps off. So I'll just put my gloves on and I'll show you how we do this. Now I've got honey inside my gloves as well. We don't want to waste this wax because the beeswax wax is almost as useful as the honey itself. So this does get to be a pretty messy process. So we sit the frame in like that. Put a couple of stray bees in here still. And then we just want to take the top of the caps off. You can see the honey starting to ooze out there. And we want to try not to damage any of the rest of the honeycomb in here, because the bees will come and reuse this. If they've got to remake it because we've damaged it, it's a lot more effort for them to make the new wax. So if they can just go on and fill up the honeycomb that they've already made, they fill it up much more quickly and you get more honey production out of it. Okay, so one frame ready to sit in our spinner. Now you always want the side that you cut facing the outside of your spinner, because this is the side the honey's going to come out. So it just slides in like that. We'll turn it around, I'll cut one more off. one more frame, and then we can slide that in, and we can start processing our honey. Okay, so we've got our 2 frames sitting in the spinner now, and if we turn it on and watch the outside here, we can see the honey being thrown out against the outside wall. And we just keep spinning it until the honey stops running out. It was a couple of minutes with the last frame, and if you look right down the bottom there, below the spinner, you can see the honey starting to accumulate right down there. So we processed 2 hives, 4 frames out of each, so 8 beehives. What did we end up with? Well, we ended up with about 15 kilos of honey. It's up to there in the bucket. Beautiful honey, quite thick honey, but tastes delicious. We also ended up with this much beeswax, which will probably turn into candles or something like that a bit later on. So 2 hives is well worth processing the honey out of. This is enough, or more than we'll use in a year. To purify the wax, we want to just get a stainless steel bowl with curved sides is best. This makes it a bit easier to get out afterwards. Put some water in it, put it on the heat, and we just break. This wax has been boiled a couple of times already, so we just put it in the water, break it up into bits, put it in the water. So we want to allow this to boil and for all the wax to melt. Now the hard wax will come to the top and float on the surface. The soft wax and impurities will sink to the bottom of the wax puddle, but still be on top of the water. The water just helps you get it out afterwards a bit more easily and helps wash everything through. All the really light impurities dissolve in the water. Okay, so it's boiling away, all our wax has dissolved, so I'm just going to turn the stove off now and leave this to cool for a couple of hours, and we'll come back and have a look at what we've got left afterwards. Okay, once your wax has set, it doesn't stick to the bowl, so you can get it out reasonably easily. And you get all these impurities on the bottom here that you can just scrape off. Once you've taken all the brown stuff off, there's actually a soft wax here too. Bees can smell the remaining honey from here. So you scrape off that soft wax too, give it a bit of a wash off with water. If you've still got mess in it, boil it up again, and every time you do that it gets a bit cleaner. But this side you can see there's a little bit in it still, but that's pretty good pure beeswax there. Now all that we have left to do is to put the empty frames back in the beehives so that they can start filling them up again for us. This is my first time extracting honey, so I'm sure that I'll get better at it with a bit more practice. I hope you've enjoyed this little video, and I hope to see you again next time. Thanks, bye.